Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here, and welcome to another episode of WCW, My Son the Traitor. As you can tell by the title today, we've got our first pay-per-view since we've been back on TV, since Nitro's been back running. We've actually had some build-up, which is good. I feel like we do have a certain amount of matches on the card that, have at least some sort of storyline behind them, and I would say some of them are doing pretty well. I like our main event storyline. We've done a little bit of work on the United States, probably not as much as I wanted or would have wanted to. But then again, the storyline between RVD and Chavo Guerrero is probably sort of the more prominent storyline going forward. And it will be sort of aiding a little bit further into that United States title storyline as well. Anyway, without further ado, let's advance here. Looks like the original Rey Mysterio there. Looking forward to this pay-per-view. I think we should be able to pull some pretty good ratings. Obviously, the product is 70% matches, 30% angles, so it's very different to the Nitro sort of TV booking. Although I feel like we're going to have at least two 20-minute matches, maybe even three, potentially. Originally, I did want to do the ladder match as the high spots match. However, the longer I'm sort of thinking about that match, I almost want it to be 20 minutes long, although I don't know if RVD and Chavo, if they're sort of at that upper mid-card level yet. I think they're still in the mid-card, which might sort of hamper them. Anyway, quick look at the size here. We did get back up to 65 across all of those regions. I did briefly touch on that in that last episode. And yeah, we're pretty much where we need to be. So let's advance one more night, get straight into the pay-per-view, and chuck it on all of our pay-per-view carriers here. We do have some decent pay-per-view carriers. I have to admit that. We've got some solid broadcasters, especially... Like, you look at our Australia deal with Foxtel and Sky, obviously, for New Zealand there. Yeah, very good. I also didn't actually confirm that, so that would have been very bad, because most of our income, or a solid majority of our income, does indeed come from pay-per-view. We also have... Yeah, so the only people that are out is John Cena, who's out with that neck injury, and apparently The Wall is in rehab. Probably someone I'm looking to get rid of. The Wall. Let's go for a rib on Johnny Yang. Albeit it didn't actually do anything. Trying to think, where did we run our... I think we ran it in the Southeast. I think we ran our last pay-per-view there as well. So we might actually do Mid-Atlantic. And we're expecting just to get under 36,000 fans for this show, which is pretty crazy. And there's no real venues of that sort of capacity either. So we might actually have to go, to the Southeast. We're actually expected to get more fans in the Southeast. I mean, the Georgia Dome would probably only fill sort of half of that, so that's kind of out. Same thing with the Louisiana Superdome. But yeah, there's no real venue that's gonna be able to take our sort of expected attendance. One thing that was mentioned is potentially raising the ticket prices, and that was from Question the Mark, a long time follower of the channel. Maybe we do that for this show. I wonder if it's actually going to work. Let me have a look. It is going to work. So that's going to drop it down to 21,000. However, it's a higher premium for each fan that does come. And as you can see, we can go to the Charlotte Coliseum, for example, and probably sell that out pretty easy. So I think that might be the game plan, honestly. Looking at that though, hold on. 20,000 for the Charlotte Coliseum, 40,000 higher cost. Sorry, there was another one down here. 19,845 and only 20,000 higher cost for the Rupp Arena. I think we're going to Kentucky for this show. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. We're only losing about 155 capacity. And we're paying $20,000 less. That's weird. That is weird. Anyway, Rupp Arena it is. Good shout about the raising the ticket prices. I feel like that's... I mean, realistically, that is sort of what happens in real life, isn't it? The pay-per-views are going to be more expensive than your TV Nitro shows anyway. Same thing happens in real life with, WWE pay-per-views and, Raw or SmackDown. So that works out rather well. Let's start booking. Also got that triple threat match for the world title. It's going to be Booker T taking on Buff Bagwell and, of course, Lance Storm. Again, this will be one of our 20-minute matches. I mean, it pretty much has to be a 20-minute match at this point. And, I mean, I said it, I think it was 2 episodes ago, I said Booker T was a cheat code. And by God, he is a cheat code. I'm also going to put Buff to lose. Again, on my phone here, I've booked out the whole pay-per-view. As far as matches, I haven't booked any angles. So we're going to have to wing that as we go. But yeah, it is indeed Buff losing. So, that one's sorted. Easy main event there. We'll book an angle. Pretty easy. It's going to be Booker, Buff, and Lance all together. We'll go triple entertainment for these guys. Although, no, you know what? I won't. It's going to be a solo Booker angle. Solo Booker angle with both Buff and Lance off screen. I think that's the best way of going about it. That's the best way. And we're actually going to do an angle post-match as well. This one might be a bit of a surprise to some of you. But Curt Hennig is going to come out and issue a challenge to Booker T. We will have to not script that one. And we'll be adding Curt Hennig into the world title storyline going forward. So that's post-match after Booker does retain his title. All right, let's see what else. I did actually sort of plan out the card in sort of chronological order, the way I would like it to play out as well. Even actually putting in the match types or the stipulations of the matches that we need, such as Wild Brawl, High Spots, and Storytelling. So this one is going to actually be sort of the semi-main event, where it's Curt Hennig versus Diamond Dallas Page. I've already sort of given away the spoiler there anyway, so this one is going to be Curt Hennig, and he is going to get a clean victory onto Diamond Dallas Page. I am going to keep Diamond strong, purely for the fact that I think Curt has a bit lower popularity, as you can see. He's down in the 50s, whereas DDP is up in the 70s, mid-70s. And I want to keep DDP strong, because between him and Booker at the moment, they're our only 2 sort of main event standouts that are really, right there at the top of the card. And I think at the moment we do need Hennig to I just exited out of that match. That's great. We do need Hennig to try and push up above that. Hence why he's getting a massive victory here against Diamond Dallas Page. And the other thing with Hennig is we're not too sure how long he's going to be around for. He's got, a pretty nasty drug habit in the game, so there's potential for him to sort of go down that road and start obviously pissing people off if he wrestles high, which could be sort of very damaging to the locker room. Anyway, let's have Diamond Dallas and Curt go back and forth on the microphone prior to their match. Again, just pushing that storyline a little bit further. Go unscripted as well. Love it how they don't want to be scripted. It's kind of frustrating, to be honest, but it is what it is. Next match is going to be another title match. We're going to go with our World Tag Team titles. It's going to be a face team versus face team. Anguish are going to be taking on Palumbo and O'Hare. This one we'll just give 12 minutes. And I think we will indeed give the victory there to Palumbo and O'Hare. I don't really want to take the titles off them yet. I do see sort of both of them, or at least one of them, becoming a main eventer down the line. They're both still relatively young. They're both really good. Albeit O'Hare is a painkiller abuser as well, so maybe we go for Palumbo. He's slightly younger. He's also sort of not as good, if that makes sense, and he's a tag team specialist, so yeah, that's a tough one. Just looking at O'Hare, he sort of has that star quality, has that charisma, and he is just sort of slightly better. He's got some decent flashiness there as well. But again, could be another case of that drug problem rearing its ugly head. Yeah, so this one, go Palumbo. Actually, you know what? Let's go with O'Hare. Now that I've said all that, Sean O'Hare get the victory. We'll make the loser Psychosis, and of course, that is not the real Psychosis, but that's fine. No angle there. We'll move straight into the next match, which is going to be Mike Awesome taking on Billy Kidman. And this one's an interesting one. It's sort of got a little bit more of a storyline about it. So I'll go those two there. 12 minutes. And Mike Awesome is going to get the victory here. It is going to be tainted, and it's going to be outside interference finish as well. Onto Billy by PCO. I like that match. I guess we could maybe go an angle for these two. Let's go Sex Appeal and Menace maybe. Short that to 4 minutes. Just because there's nothing that's really sort of hampering on success there. Let's write this one out, actually. Let's go with Tori. Ask Mike Awesome not to destroy Billy Kidman tonight. Kill. And I spelt Mike wrong. Love that. Alright. What do we got next? That one's actually going to be our Wild Brawl, I think. Yeah, it is. Cool. We then have the United States title. Again, we didn't really book this one too well, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of Hugh Morris anyway, so he was kind of I guess sort of the perfect opponent, really. And I wanted Canyon to start building some momentum. So he's going to get a nice, easy victory here, retain his United States title, and he's going to move forward. We'll give him, I think we might just give him a solo angle by himself here as well, and just build that a little bit more. So angle with Canyon, that's perfect. What do we got next? We've got our ladder match. Alrighty. Where are we? Ladder. Hopefully we can do it in pay-per-view. And it is, of course, going to be Chavo Guerrero taking on the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam. I don't know if that 40 popularity is enough for both of them to go for 20 minutes. Maybe. I was going to make this the high spots match, but I don't think I will. And Rob Van Dam is going to get the victory there. I'm pretty sure I can call it, can't I? If I'm not mistaken. I think they're both, really, really talented wrestlers. So, yeah, I mean, easily. That's sort of the reason why I want to push both these guys and get them up into that sort of main event role. We'll also have Chavo cutting a promo onto Rob. Prior to Rob actually even coming out. That's fine. We might even have Canyon cutting a promo onto Rob on screen. Maybe congratulating him, saying that he's his next opponent before he even actually goes out and beats Morris. I think that's a pretty sort of arrogant and cool way for him to actually go about things. And obviously, RVD gets that United States Championship, which is hanging above the ring. We've got 2 more matches to book that I've got here. We've got our World Cruiserweight match, which I guess can be the high spots, or supposed to be storytelling, but I think I'll make it the high spots instead. And that is going to be Little Guido taking on, where is he, Shane Helms. Give that bad boy to Shane Helms, and it is going to be high spots, open, scripted, and decisive. Perfect. Let's go with Arn. And Cruiserweight title on the line. We're actually over time, so scratch that. We're going to go storytelling. 10 minutes, and then I'm going to have to change this back down to 14. And that will be our high spots match. Cool. We're still way over. I'll lower Canyon versus Morris. And we're going to have to lower some of these other ones, because I've got one more match to put on the card. Yeah, we'll lower that by 2 as well. And we still need about 10 minutes left. Not great. I'll lower this by 2 as well, back down to 12. That gives us 5 minutes. I really wanted to have that promo there for Tori, because it sort of continues the storyline. I think these are only 2.5 hours. I'm going to need to make these 3 hours long, especially with all this booking. What I'll do is I'll add that last match, which was just going to be a work the crowd match with Sean Stasiak. And where is he? Mark Jindrak. And they were just going to take on Gold Bond Mafia. Probably for 10 minutes, but we might even lower that to 8. Just to work the crowd. And obviously get these 2 guys on the card and get these guys a little bit more experience going forward. And obviously giving them a pay-per-view debut. So we do indeed need to find 5 minutes from somewhere. I don't really want to screw the cruiserweights over. I don't want to screw anyone over, to be honest. We'll take 2 off that. Take 1 off the cruiserweights, and then we'll take 2 off of these guys. It's ugly. It is ugly, but you know what? That's what we have to do at this point, because I would like to get these guys on the card as well. But there's our pay-per-view. I think it looks pretty good. And again, We're not going to get penalised. It is 70% matches. We'll chuck a match on the pre-show with a few people we're not using. I mean, PCO's already on there. And we could throw Natty Neidhart in a match as well. Let's see who we've got. So we've got PCO. We'll just go faces and heels, really. PCO, maybe 3 count. Maybe PCO and the Jablonski boys. And they can take on... Let's go AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Johnny the Bull. Maybe not Johnny the Bull. We'll go Jason Jett. And we'll give PCO the win because he needs a little bit of momentum, especially going into the next Nitro because he's going to be having a singles match on there. Apparently Joe's upset about the outcome of the match. Random. I'm going to assume that he was initially losing that match. Anyway. Have I got anyone else that can wrestle on the pre-show? We've got 3 heel teams. Let's go Johnny and I guess David Flair. And they can take on 3 count. And we shall give Johnny the Bull the victory. Pretty weird giving David Flair a win. I wonder if that's referee or road agent. Probably road agent. Yeah, let's run the show. I mean, honestly, I think that looks pretty good. And it's a fair bit to get through. Alrighty, so we start with a 46 rated pre-show tag match where we have Johnny the Bull and David Flair defeating 3 count in 11:33 when Johnny the Bull pinned Shannon Moore with a diving spinning leg drop. Good pre-show match. Okay, we go into a 38 rated 6-man tag where we have PCO and the Jablonski boys defeating AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Jason Jett in 12:18 when PCO pinned Jason Jett with a senton bomb. And PCO has sustained a spinal disalignment, which I believe is the same injury that John Cena picked up before even being able to work a show for us. So that's a spinal injury, and that is for 1 year. And that is sarcasm that I'm doing. It's very good. It's a very good thing. Absolutely terrible. And yeah, I said I was going to use him on the next show. Well, I'm probably not. Definitely not. I also can't advance here. Why is that? Huh. Oh. Yeah, because he was involved. I mean, it's pretty simple. I guess I just don't put him on there. That one's easy. And I guess I'm just going to have Awesome win clean, realistically. Kind of frustrating, but... I mean, it'll be tainted, but... Instead of PCO, we can do a manager interference finish. Which I believe will be with Natty Neidhart. So that'll kind of work. It's not ideal, but it'll kind of work. Anyway, we kick the actual Great American Bash show off with a 50 rated tag match just to open the crowd, hopefully get everyone a little bit pumped up, where we have Sean Stasiak and Mike Jindrak defeating Gold Bond Mafia in 8:13. And we had Sean Stasiak pinning Colt Cabana with a fisherman's suplex. And of course, we've got the great chemistry between Colt and Punk. We then move into a 60 rated match here where we have Shane Helms defeating Little Guido in 8:33 by pinfall with a vertebreaker. And we have Shane Helms making defense number 2 of his WCW World Cruiserweight title. Good stuff. Good announcing chemistry there as well. But a 60 is pretty solid for an 8-minute match with the Cruiserweights. We then go into a 50 rated angle where we have Chavo Guerrero cutting a nice heel promo onto Rob Van Dam, saying that he's going to beat him in the ladder match tonight. He's going to climb those steps and grab that contract and become the United States champion. The match suffers a little bit. I thought it might have. We get a 65 rated match here for our ladder match where we have Rob Van Dam defeating Chavo Guerrero Jr. in a ladder match in just over 12 minutes when Rob Van Dam retrieved that United States. And I also did slow build. My fault. I damaged this rating. It would have been even better. But Rob Van Dam retrieving that United States contract for the next pay-per-view. A little bit frustrating because I obviously had that set out as a much longer match originally. It's not going to harm it too much, but yeah, it could have done a little bit better. Rob Van Dam with a 76 in-ring performance there as well. And then we go straight into a 61 rated angle. Canyon coming out, our current United States champion, sarcastically congratulating Rob Van Dam for being his next competitor. Basically burying Hugh Morris there in the process. Sort of stating that he's going to beat Morris. It's sort of a given that he will be versing Rob Van Dam and defending his title against him in the future. 61's pretty good though. Surprisingly, I guess maybe not surprisingly, because Canyon is very good. Morris isn't actually half bad. We get a 70 rated match here for our United States title, where we have Canyon defeating Hugh Morris in 15:48 by pinfall with a flatliner, and Canyon making defense number 1 of the WCW United States title. So, good match. 70 is a very, very good rating for your sort of mid-card title, albeit I see it as sort of an upper mid-card title, if there's such a thing. But that is definitely it. And I'm very, very happy with that rating. Like I said, we didn't really sort of build to it too much, so I'm very, very happy to get a 70. All right, we then go into an angle which gets us a 40 rating. But we have Tori Wilson, and she goes into Mike Awesome's locker room just before the start of their match. And she asks Mike Awesome not to destroy her fiancé, Billy Kidman, tonight. And is obviously sort of, I guess, maybe trying to tug at the heartstrings of Mike Awesome. The match between the two getting us a 48 rating there. Mike Awesome does defeat Billy Kidman in 7:48 by pinfall with an awesome bomb after Natty Neidhart interfered. Of course, Team Canada prevailing. A little bit of improvisation there from me. Obviously, I wanted it to be PCO, and then we're going to have sort of a match between PCO and Billy Kidman on Nitro as well. But this win, obviously, we know that Mike Awesome wants to be with Tori Wilson or wants her as his manager. He's being really creepy. What does this win sort of signalize or symbolize? Probably the better way of saying it. What does it symbolize going forward? I guess we'll have to wait and find out on Nitro. All right, we then go into our World Tag Team title match, getting us a 56 rating there. Palumbo and O'Haire defeating Anguish in 8:05. And we had Sean O'Haire pin Psychosis with a senton bomb. Palumbo and O'Haire making their second defense of the WCW World Tag Team titles. And yeah, just a good match, honestly. I'm pretty happy with the 56 for an 8-minute match. Yeah, good stuff. Defense number 2. All right, we then go into our semi-main event angle, getting us to 77. We have Diamond Dallas Page cutting a promo. Actually, I think it was back and forth, wasn't it? Yeah. So it was a back and forth war of words prior to the start of the match. And yeah, DDP was a real star, superb without a script. And then, yeah, Kurt as well, enjoying having the freedom to go off script. Pretty solid. I'm hoping their match will, sort of live up to that same level. And it kind of does. It actually does. We get a 72 for their match, where we do indeed have Curt Hennig defeating Diamond Dallas Page in 16:21 by pinfall with a fisherman's suplex. Curt Hennig wins and beats DDP. Solid match, though. Very good. All right, we then go into the cheat code for this database. Booker T himself getting us a 97 rated angle here, where he's cutting a promo on Buff Bagwell and Lance Storm. Off script, having, clearly enjoying having the freedom as well. And a super, super solid rated angle there. Going into the main event. And sort of continuing to gain more heat for that World Heavyweight storyline as well. All right, and the match for the Great American Bash, the triple threat for the world title, actually does pretty good. We get an 81 rated main event here. I think that's our best match we've ever gotten, so very happy with that. And we do indeed have Booker T defeating both Buff Bagwell and Lance Storm in 20 minutes, 29 seconds. And we had Booker T pin Buff with a bookend, and Booker T making defense number 2 of the WCW World Heavyweight title. And as you can see, Buff the weak link. Apparently Booker was off his game as well, so that's a little frustrating. Bagwell really off his game, and again, being penalised for his extremely poor form. Honestly, that's kind of got me a little bit worried. So I'm sort of wondering if or when that's going to go away. Just for the fact that if that's going to be a negative penalty in sort of all of his matches he has, I might want to drop him down to the United States title and not, maybe even the mid card really, and not have him be sort of pushing that main event. Despite his age and despite how good he actually is, he's not too bad. It's just a little bit concerning. Anyway, Booker T with an 83 in ring and Lance Storm with a 75. So Lance is well on his way to pushing into that main event scene. And we finish the show off with a 90 rated angle where we have the new number 1 contender, Curt Hennig, and he cuts a promo with Booker T. And they go back and forth. And Booker T finally has a new opponent, albeit it's coming straight after his match. But realistically, Curt, he got a big victory here tonight against DDP, the other most over person we have on the roster. So good stuff. Another solid heel, I feel like, for Booker to sort of have in front of him and potentially get something great out of Curt Hennig, despite his age. So yeah, apparently Curt Hennig underperformed. Booker T looking excellent. And yeah, Hennig poor when trying to improvise off script. But yeah, 90 is still pretty solid, so I'm happy with that. All right, our overall show rating, we get an 81 rated pay-per-view here for the Great American Bash. Increasing popularity in 24 regions and would have gained 1 in Canada. However, there's a limited number of viewers there as well. As far as praising goes, I'm going to go Lance Storm. I'm going to go Curt Hennig and actually, I might go Diamond Dallas Page. I was actually very impressed with both of them. Despite their age, DDP is 45 and Hennig is 43, so they're both really old. And to put on a 70 plus rated match in 16 minutes as well, I'm definitely happy with that. D'Lo Brown's contract is running out. I feel like he'd be a decent worker to bring in. Interesting. Taka Michinoku. Extremely talented. Yeah, interesting. How much is he on? He's not really on that much money. I know he's not very over, but yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be a lot of them. Grandmaster Sexay, Brian Christopher. Again, another one that, I mean, albeit he's a hard drug user, so maybe not. But good worker. Definitely a good worker. Joey Matthews. Apparently China. Being rejected, apparently. Is confirmed to be leaving the WWF. Do we bring in China? Probably not. She's an egomaniac, highly strung, thin-skinned, political player. Doesn't work for me, brother. Drinker, often in trouble. I mean, yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm tempted to have a look at these. Spanky, I believe, is Brian Kendrick. Almost forgot his name there for a second. So we might bring Brian Kendrick in. He looks very, very good. Would probably be a... Actually, you know what? Let's bring him in now. Let's bring him in. I do like the look of him, so we'll offer him a proper contract and see what happens there. I did have another suggestion. There he is right there. Yeah, Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. We can get him in as well, and I'm assuming that he's extremely good, which he is. So we'll get him in as well. We'll get both of them. That was the suggestion, so sort of perfect timing, I guess, that their contracts are running out. And I did get that comment yesterday, so much appreciated. I wish I remember who actually sent it, but the support recently has been incredible by you guys. I really do appreciate it, and I just want to, say thank you. Who's this guy? Pete Wilson. Sort of wondering, did he ever actually become anything? He's a 15-year-old high flyer. Anyway, doesn't matter. There's a few other things I want to check. We'll sort of have a look at that. I mean, literally everything appears to be WWF related, so it literally is. Everything on that list so far is WWF related. Lovely. We've actually got a few of our own people with their contracts running out. No one that's really standout. I mean, Buff Bagwell. Do we re-sign Buff? I mean, it says that he's got warm momentum now, so... I mean, his overness is probably too good to sort of let go at the moment. Although Nitro is actually tomorrow, so... Yeah, there's quite a few things I need to maybe have a little bit of a look at. Mr. Aguila, his contract's running out as well. He's pretty good. He's not terrible. He's a decent high flyer. How long is PCO going to be out for? Let's check that. All right, it's only 2 months and 1 week, and we could actually lower that. Let's do some surgery. Yes, complete success. PCO, 55 days, so under 2 months now. We could actually do some surgery on John Cena as well. That has a high risk, though. We've done it anyway, and it's a complete success as well. So 7 months and 3 weeks, down to 4 months and 2 weeks. Very good. The Wall is going to leave once his contract runs out, and I think Reno as well. He's not very good. Yeah, so we'll let Reno go. He's got a good look to him, to be fair. He looks like a sort of budget Batista when he first came on the roster. Yeah, I think we'll let him go. He's not really necessary. Plus, we're trying to bring in some better workers that are younger, albeit maybe a little bit of a different style. You know, cruiserweights as opposed to a middleweight or a heavyweight. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And I think overall that was a pretty good pay-per-view. We've actually gone up to 67 popularity across all those other regions in the US, despite charging more for our tickets. We've gone up 2 points. That's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm not complaining because it's a very good thing. We're up to 42 in most of the Canadian regions there as well. Whereas everywhere else sort of seems to be... Actually, Australia's gone up 1 point across the board. So that's good. It was definitely 25. Yeah, so now it's up to 26. I like it. I like it. And we made just under 1.7 million last month. There were a few comments about purchasing our own broadcaster, which is probably something that I would still like to do. I think my thought process behind that is we're going to use the broadcaster as if we were, I guess, opening our own sort of TV channel or broadcasting channel in essentially on TV, because it's going to be a commercial subscription service, but our own TV sort of network or channel in each of the regions that we decide to go to, whether it be, you know, the UK, British Isles, Europe, Australia, Japan, India. We're essentially, my thought process is, and we're not going to use it for pay-per-views, so we're going to stick to our pay-per-view carriers for that. It's essentially going to be like a TV channel that we are forking out our own money for in order to, obviously, to broadcast around the world. That's my thought process on it anyway. Maybe let me know what you guys think. Obviously, I'm going on holidays, so I'm trying to get a few episodes recorded here in advance. So maybe by the time I get back, we might be able to read some of those comments, like I have done today, and we'll go forward and try and implement some of those ideas. Anyways, before we end off here, we did get a 4.69, nearly 2.35 million buys, which is very good. In my opinion, I think that's quite good. And yeah, very happy with where we are. Could not be happier. I think things are going really well for us at the moment. And we're pretty much ready to go into Nitro, starting a new month fresh, in which we'll have some new storylines. And we might continue one or two here and there as well. So yeah, guys, if you've enjoyed, make sure you smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. And apart from that, take it easy and goodbye.